Hello guys, welcome to my YouTube channel. In the last video that I made, I talked about express entry. I talked about how I became a permanent resident of Canada. I became a permanent resident of Canada January 28, 2022, and I shared my story in my last video. You can watch it. Please like, share, subscribe. I'm going to be dishing out a lot of content. For now, what I'm working on is a series on how people can come to Canada. Later on, I'm going to diversify. So now I share my story. I share some other people's experiences, on permanent residency. But there are also other ways of coming to Canada: by study, by work, choosing your course, getting good jobs, life here in Canada. I'm going to share a lot of content on that. Okay, so today, the purpose of this video is to share how to actually increase your points. The cutoff now is so high. The minimum I've seen now is 480 something, right? The last cutoff that happened on September 19, the draw was 531. So that's quite high, So people need to start devising strategies and means on how to improve their CRS score. The CRS, the comprehensive ranking system. That's how the express entry works. It's a points-based system. So their points are allocated to different things. From your age to your IELTS to your work experience, everything has points allocated to it. So there has to be things that people can do that will improve their points. So I'm going to leave a link for your CRS calculator for you to examine yourself, check what chance do I stand if I go into this process, right? Then I'm going to tell you things today that you can do, proven things. I'm going to leave a link to my source on the Canadian website, Canadian government website. So you're going to see it for yourself if you want to understand, if you want to dig in deeper, but I'm going to try my best to explain it in a way you understand. So I'm giving you authentic information from Canada's website. So just sit back, relax, and I'm going to take time and explain. So just sit down, maybe with your earpiece or AirPods, you get and understand the whole stuff. It's a knowledge-based stuff, and you need to understand how it works. So from the beginning, I'm going to start with things that give, less points to things that give the biggest extra points. These are additional points. You need to have your basic IELTS. I already shared that in my previous video, so please watch that video. I shared the basics IELTS, right? Your educational credential assessment. So you need to have that in place. So to get additional points, number one, are you ready? Let's do this, right? Additional points. If you have a brother or sister living in Canada as a permanent resident or citizen, he has to be living in Canada, so you have to provide proof of that. Is 15 extra points. 15 extra points added to whatever you have already. On this point, I have someone who was in the profile, who had a profile in the express entry pool, and the scores got so high and she could not get any invitation to apply. So her sister had already come ahead of her in Canada and studied in Canada and eventually became a permanent resident of Canada. So immediately the lady became a permanent resident of Canada. She got extra 15 points. So with that extra 15 points, she got invitation to apply in the next draw. So the way this thing works, once you improve your points, even if they do the draw in the next day after the improvement, you can get your ITA. So she got her ITA, invitation to apply. Now she has applied. Now she has gotten her permanent residency just because her sister became a sibling. So if you have something like that, take advantage of it. The second is for you to improve your IELTS score. Do something about your IELTS score. If you've written IELTS before and you did not get up to CLB9, CLB9 involves having 8 in listening and 7 in the other components. If you didn't get that, you can try to write again and improve your score. If you improve your score, you can get to the peak. The peak is 136 points, right? If your points, what you got from your IELTS is 80 something, you can push it to get up to 136. As much points as possible for you to get. So you can go back, prepare better, practice better, and go give IELTS your best shot. You can really get more points if you do well in IELTS. Okay, the third is additional work experience. I experienced this myself. I had an experience of this. If you have 1 or 2 years work experience, you've not gotten the best you can get out of work experience, right? I knew about this for a while, so I had 1 or 2 years. In my time as well, the points also increased, so I just waited and got 3 years work experience. Immediately I got it. That was why it was so fast for me to get. Immediately it reached December for me to be 3 years at work. I entered the pool again, and next thing I got invitation to apply in a few days. That was how it worked for me. Okay, so additional work experience can give you extra 25 points. Can you imagine that the difference between 2 years work and 3 years work is 25 points? So in this system, you grab as much points as possible. That's how it works. The next is additional, degree. If you can go to school and get a postgraduate diploma, if you can go to school and get a master's degree, you can get 7 to 14 points extra, right? That is something. If you're a lawyer, you're a pharmacist, you studied medicine, you studied vet medicine, these courses, you don't need to do masters for this. You don't need to go take any other course, because your professional degree is at the same level as a master's degree, so you don't need to bother. Additional points. What can I do to get more points? Spouse is the next. That is number 5 on my list. Your spouse. If you have an accompanying spouse, right, and that accompanying spouse can take educational credential assessment, and can write IELTS, you can get additional up to 30 points if he or she can do that. You're a principal applicant and your spouse is able to take IELTS and also do educational credential assessment. That can give you guys up to 30 extra points. So that's a good thing to do. The next, which is 6th on my list, is going higher, right? It's going higher now. If you study in Canada, if you study post-secondary education in Canada, 1 or 2 years, you can get 15 more points. If it is 3 years or longer, you can get 30 more points. So studying in Canada is an advantage in this process. The next is working in Canada. If you work in Canada, you can get from 35 to 80 points. Just 1 year working in Canada, you can get up to 35 points in the system. So whichever way, if you're able to come here as a student and then your spouse is able to enter with open work permit, it's possible. If a spouse is studying in Canada or got study permit in Canada, the other spouse becomes automatically eligible to get open work permit. So if that spouse comes in and gets a skilled job, that's additional 35 points. The more they work, the more years at work, the more points. So that's a very practical way to actually improve your CRS score and then increase your chances of coming to Canada, right? So I always tell people, permanent residency is a destination that has different pathways to getting to that destination. So even if you didn't get to Canada straight on, you had to come in with study or you had to come here work, you can still get permanent residency. That's why Canada is becoming the main, the travel destination that a lot of people want to go to, right? Okay, so the next on my list, number 8 on my list is French. Amazingly, Canada is encouraging being bilingual. So people that have French skills, if you are able to take the French exam, if you're able to take some months, study French, understand French, and you make NCLC 7 or higher in the 4 French language skills, you can bag extra 25 points. Even if you didn't take English, even if you don't take English and you have this, you get extra 25 points. If you then take English, if you get NCLC 7 in French, in your French test, and then you get CLB 5 or higher in English, you get extra 50 points. So the emphasis here is on French, because it seems like more people speak English. There's a province in Canada that is mainly French. The name of the province is Quebec, but the rest of Canada has French as a recognized official language. So anybody that is bilingual, you know English and you know French, oh, you have big chances. Okay, so I'm going to talk about the last two that can give you kind of the biggest points. If you can have arranged employment, that is number 9. Arranged employment. You're able to use your skill, go to Canadian Bank, jobbanks.gc.ca or Indeed, or whichever way you're able to connect and arrange an employment. If it's a senior role known as tier 0 is a senior management role, it's senior, usually senior management, right? If you're able to get that, that gives you extra 200 points. That is high, man. Extra 200 points can change your profile. But if it's tier 1, 2, 3, these jobs require you to go to college, requires you to have a university degree. It's not a senior management position, just regular jobs, lawyer, banker, financial advisor, things like that require you to go to school. You can get additional 50 points. That is big as well. But the last on my list, which is number 10, is provincial nomination. Truly, provincial nomination deserves another video. So please like, share, subscribe, keep in touch, put on your notification button. I'm going to share about provincial nomination. But for now, I need to just say some things about provincial nomination so you can understand it. Provincial nomination gives you extra 600 points. That can get you into Canada. If you're able to get provincial nomination, trust me, you are good. Even if your IELTS is not so high, even if your English test is not so high, your degree is not so high, and you're able to secure provincial nomination, oh my friend, I can just tell you, welcome to Canada. You understand, right? So provincial nomination, some of the things they check out for is connection to the province. Connection to province. What does this mean? This means that you have sibling. So that sibling points that gives you just extra 15 points have other implications. If you have a sibling in that province in Canada, it shows that you have a connection. You have family, parents, it shows you have a connection to that province in Canada. So they can give you provincial nomination. Going back again to French, if you're able to have French skills, it increases your chances to get provincial nomination. If you studied in that province, if you studied in Canada, it increases your chances of getting provincial nomination. Study there or you work there, increases your chances. But there is one more thing that can actually get you provincial nomination that is practical, that has worked. I saw 2 people on my way back to Canada, right? I saw 2 couples. I knew the scores was already high then. So I asked them, how did you do it? I asked them individually. They didn't even hear me talking to each other. I asked one, he said, it's my skills, the work experience that was in my profile, my job, what I did in Nigeria, I found the one that was in demand. I was unable to get provincial nomination. I asked the next couple, he said the same thing. Oh, it was my work experience, it was my skill. So find out jobs in demand in Canada and know if your profile can meet that. If your profile can meet the job in demand, in that province. Every province has their own provincial nomination program. So if you're able to enter the pool, arrange your profile in such a way, and you need to prove it. You will need to prove it. So you don't do something fake with Canada. You can prove it. And that job, that skill is in demand. Sometimes Ontario will do tech. Some provinces will do health worker. So if you're able to come up, have a profile that is in demand, trust me, you have a chance of getting provincial nomination. So most times you need to enter express entry pool just like everybody, indicate interest that you want to go to those provinces, and if they find your profile fitting, they are going to invite you to apply for provincial nomination. And that once you pass that, you can get 600 points, and then you can be invited to apply for permanent residency, and then you are good to go. So this is what I decided to share in this video. Take some steps to improve your points, and you have chances. Please like, subscribe to this channel, make comments. In your comments, ask questions. It's going to trigger the next videos. This video I did now was to answer some people question. What do I do? How can I get permanent residency? How can I improve my points? I'm going to also make videos on how to come here with study visa, how to come here with work permits. So there are different ways you can come into Canada. Then I also have some networks around different countries, Australia, UK, and some other places, how people were able to navigate their way and get into those countries. So please like, subscribe, and share. Someone can be inspired, can get information from my content. I'm going to be loading out, releasing contents, as often as I can. So please keep in touch. Thank you for watching. God bless you.